Okay. Action. Welcome back, everybody. This is Dylan Bowman here in Chamonix, just at the base of the Mont-Blanc, just behind us. I'm here with the great Courtney Dauwalter. Courtney, thank you for sitting down with us. How are you?
Good, thank you. Thanks for having me.
It's good to see you. And I think before we go any further, I want to ask the question that the world is demanding to know. I'm not sure how much you've spoken publicly about your injury at Western States. Obviously, you were in the lead of the race, one of the most important races in the world. You were ahead of the course record, and then all of a sudden you just kind of disappeared and everybody was wondering what happened. Can you share with us what happened and what you've been dealing with and how it's been going?
Yeah, for sure. At about mile 67, my hip just stopped working. So it was like shooting pains and buckling under me every time I took a step, and tried every trick I had to fix it until about mile 80, and then decided to call it just because I wasn't sure what the injury was, and I didn't want to walk it 20 more miles and then find out I made it worse by walking it in to finish. So yeah, it was a huge bummer to miss out on those last, 20 miles of sweet trails in California. But since then, the diagnosis was that it wasn't bone, which was huge.
Yeah.
And then, just started working with my physical therapist to diagnose and then start rehabbing it. And we weren't sure if I could get to a place where I could be here. So I'm really thankful that, the progress went like it did, and that I'll be starting Friday night.
Well, that's really great to hear, and I think everybody was wondering that when you did sustain the injury, so it's great to have you here. So you said it wasn't bone, is it just sort of a soft tissue thing that maybe was kind of a freak accident, or was there anything that they could identify more, like a weakness that you've addressed since then physically? Can you share any more about that rehab process?
Yeah, I think a little bit of everything. Like there was some tendonitis stuff and definitely some weakness, and my body had kind of gotten out of whack on the two sides, and so some of the muscles weren't even being used anymore. So a combination of things that were like full on attack at the hip.
It's a hard sport, isn't it? Well, it's good that you've rebalanced, and thank you for telling us about that. And again, it's great to have you here. So far this year, you've had an excellent season. Prior to Western States, you won the Tarawera 100K, you won Madeira, two really important races on the circuit. Aside from Western States, how do you feel about your season, and particularly how has it sort of helped lead you to this point where you're starting your first UTMB?
Oh, it's been such a fun year so far, and experiencing brand new races. This will be another brand new one. I have yet to see much of the trails around here, so I'm excited to explore 100 miles of them on Friday and Saturday. But yeah, we'll just see. And I think the whole year I had in my mind I wanted to run bigger mountains than I had done before. UTMB will be a perfect test of that.
Yeah, it's the biggest stage in the world, and it's great to have you here. I mean, in the last, 2 or 3 years, you sort of went from being unknown to, one of the best in the world, and already sort of almost one of the best of all time in the history of the sport. And here you are at your first UTMB. Do you carry any sort of personal pressure given the fact that you have had this sort of meteoric rise in the sport, or are you just here, as Courtney Dauwalter, the person who just likes being out in the mountains and wanting to have a good time?
More of that second one, but then there's always that I want to do well and push really hard, and I love that. So a combination, but nothing to do with what other people expect or think.
So how have, since you got healthy in the last couple months after Western States, how has your preparation gone when you have been able to train?
Not ideal. But at this point, I have to just pretend it's ideal, right?
Nothing you can do now.
Nothing I can do, yeah.
Well, obviously, a lot of people expect great things from you. So, even leading into it without a perfect preparation, I'm sure you are poised to have a great performance. And American women here have been really stellar in the history of the race. Obviously, we've got past champions like Rory Bozio and Chrissy Mayle, Nikki Kimball. Rory's actually racing again this year,
so cool.
Which is awesome. What would it mean to you to sort of carry that tradition of American female excellence here at UTMB?
We'll see what happens.
But anything else about your potential here at the race, and maybe what you're expecting from the course and the conditions and the competition?
I mean, I'm so excited for the women's field that's assembled, and to be out in these huge mountains in a beautiful place, pushing as hard as we can, it'll be a good one, I think.
And then just like a logistical question, you said you've only been in Europe for a couple of days. Most people arrive a little bit earlier. Do you have like a strategy when it comes to your travel? Is it better for you to arrive later and sort of miss out on some of the energy and exhaustion that comes with just being around Chamonix this time of the year? Or would you prefer to arrive a little bit earlier and not have to deal with as much jet lag?
Yeah, I think I'm still learning a lot about traveling to these races and what works best. So this was just how it worked out this time, and maybe, on reflection after the race, we'll lean one way or the other. But for first time, everything's going okay so far.
Good. Well, it's a tough balance to hit there, but. Well, Courtney, thanks for taking the time to come and meet with us and sit down and share your words. And again, it's great to have you here. We wish you nothing but the best, but it's good to just see you back out and healthy. So have fun out there.
Thank you.
Thanks.